which I think is probably the most important one, is to blueprint your life. And what I mean by that is to have some goals. Have something written that you need, that you absolutely must have. Have something that you need to, that you could go look at. You know, it's one thing to carry these things around in your mind, but it's another thing to put them on paper. So, blueprint your life. I saw a sign. I was doing some work with a couple of other speakers back in North Carolina in Charlotte, and I saw a sign on a church. It was one of those marquees. It says, no purpose, N-O, no purpose, N-O, no goals. And underneath it, it said, no purpose, K-N-O-W, no purpose, no goals, K-N-O-W. I thought that was really impressed me, because until you decide what your purpose in life is, it's very difficult to have goals. I can give you my purpose, and matter of fact, having seen that sign inspired me to really think about, what is your purpose, Larry? You know, I was a professional speaker at the time. I've been doing that for about 27 years. I do wedding ceremonies as a part of my relationship books and so forth. And I thought, what is my purpose? 4 words. Helping others help themselves. You can't help somebody else, but you can help them help themselves. You can be the inspiration in a group like this. I know Connie, and I've known Connie for years, great speaker, has a lot of really great ideas, because I used to have what you call reluctance. I mean, I still don't like to do it, but I do it because I know the reward for doing it. You know, is to pick up the phone and do it. That's part of my blueprint now, is to make sure I follow up. One of the biggest problems in networking groups is to get a business lead and never call them back. Or if you do, you take one answer for no and you give up. That's tragic. You just don't do that. You call back. Usually, I know in my business as a professional speaker, it would take anywhere from 5 to 7 callbacks before I would really get enough interest for me to continue to do it. And sometimes it was really difficult for me, because you have to think of a new reason to call back. So you just don't call back and say, "Did you decide to do this yet?" You know, I mean, it doesn't work that way. So we had all kinds of, I used to work with Larry Wingate, who was on Fox News a lot, and I was his first marketing director, actually. We both started in a business at the same time. And we had a letter which we stopped using after. I'll tell you the story about it. I used to get these. There's a company in China that sends you all kinds of little things that you can get really super cheap to send out as little things, you know. And I bought a whole box of rubber cockroaches. And then we designed the letter around that. Say, we don't mean to bug you, but so-and-so and so-and-so, you know. And we got a nasty call after we sent out about 200 of those letters. We got a nasty call from the executive secretary of a lady, of a man who was the big wheel of a huge company that Larry would have loved to speak at, just spoken to. And she said that he had when he opened it, he almost had a heart attack. And he had had a heart attack before. She said, "We will never do business with you, blah, blah, blah." So we stopped doing that. So, but those are the things that you need to do, is to create some interest in your business. If you see somebody else showing up in the news, I have a letter that I send out that says, "It's good to see good friends making good news." And then I'll clip the article and send it to them. That's it. I don't say, "Now buy my business," or anything like that. It just doesn't work that way. But you do have to design your future by setting some goals. I think it's also good to know what you must do, and you should do, and you could do. You know, those 3 things kind of help me set the priorities for that. The second, by the way, Laura, I don't want to go over time. I don't know how much time you've allotted to me, but when we get about 10 minutes in, or about 10 minutes later, let me know. Okay.
Watch this later. 10 minutes?
About 10 minutes, yeah. And that way I'll wrap up. The second commitment, not commandment, but the second commitment of networking is to accept responsibility. I call it be count-onable. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you can't do it and you see, don't just not do it. Call them and say, there's been an interruption in my schedule, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put off our meeting or whatever, but at least give them the courtesy of calling. So it's accept responsibility. Problems validate what you're committed to. Did you know that? Problems validate what you are committed to. Think about that. You have problems. Why does it come up? To teach you a new lesson. If you're still having the same problems you were a year or two ago, you're not learning the lesson. Okay? They really do validate what you're committed to. All right, that's number 2. Number 3 is to be coachable. Listen differently. You know, let me tell you a story. This is a true story. My daughter, when she was 10 years old, it was like somebody flipped the switch, and she just kind of went doing the things that I was doing when I was 17. And it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? One of the things she would do is that when I would correct her, she would say, I hate you, Dad. You know, and she would walk away and go to her room and slam the door, and I wouldn't see her for a couple of hours, you know. I was listening to, some of you know who Warner Earhart is?
Yes.
Okay, yes, the program, Landmark Education. I was listening to one of his audio cassettes once. It literally changed my relationship with my daughter. And let me tell you how. I was listening to him in the car. This is back when we had cassettes in our car, okay? And I was listening to it, and what he said was, when somebody calls you a name, when somebody does this or that, it really upsets you, listen to them differently. And I thought, wow, my daughter's saying, I hate you, Daddy. What if I could listen to that like, I love you, Daddy, but just as much as I can say it at this time? What if I really listened to that differently? What kind of a change would that make in my thinking about her, and would it change my relationship? And when I literally pulled off the side of the road and I started listening to that again. I must have heard that same little passage on that cassette about probably 12 times at least. And I went back home and I thought about it and made some notes on my computer, which was a long time ago. It was one of those little Mac classics, you know. And the next time she said, I hate you, Daddy, I said, Kelly, I just want you to know I love you. There isn't anything that you could say that would make me not love you. You have my permission to hate me. And she screamed back at me, I don't need your permission to hate you. And she turned around and started walking to her room, and I followed her. And I said, I know, but you have it anyway. Nothing you can say or do is ever going to change that. I'm your father. I will always love you. And by then, I had my foot in the door, and she's trying to push the door shut, you know. And I said those final words, and I took my foot out, and it slammed the door, and literally, a miracle occurred. We didn't know it at the time. She never said that to me again. Never said that to me again. I'm sure she thought it, but she didn't say it out loud. And I thought, wow, this really works. And I changed my whole thinking about how to listen to people differently. You know, that's just one example of being coachable. You know, listening to somebody and then taking that idea and turning it into a success thing that you can use, you know, with some of your clients or some of your friends even, you know. So listen for and be open to new ideas and suggestions that other in your network may offer you.